there were 3 pallets. Each pallet had a different size. So it was like big, medium, small, and then they spread them and mixed them up to make
So you're doing like a thing?
So today we're supposed to talk about the next generation of headphone enthusiasts.
Yeah, getting them into audio, I guess.
Yeah.
We've kind of sort of had a little bit of question on this one too. We could kind of skim over that. What does it take to get started in audio? What does it take to get started working for a headphone company? Or how do I get into the audio industry? We've had questions like that a few times. And that seems like a worthwhile discussion too.
Yeah, but I think this is more about like, what might attract the younger generation, or what are we doing, or what should anyone really think about, or what is the younger generation? You're at the tail end of the younger generation. What do they look for in headphones?
Well, headphone specific. Well, it's probably headsets, really. They start there.
Yeah.
Gaming headsets.
Yeah.
And then they're like, these aren't very good. So they try to find better gaming headsets. That's probably where most people start, or Beats or something.
Don't you think they tap out at some point, like with gaming, like when they're looking for like an integrated mic and stuff like that? They probably reach a point where it's like,
Well, they make high-end ones now.
oh, yeah. Well, that figures.
Yeah.
A lot of people prefer the wireless ones though.
Yeah.
Because of the convenience factor.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that's a little tricky because right now the wireless ones
Bluetooth.
generally they're not good.
They're Bluetooth.
Yeah, and
Right.
like mid-game, your battery dies. Like, hold on, I got to...
Well, that would suck.
Yeah, so there's some tricky bits there.
Yeah.
So it does seem to be the industry is moving towards wireless, but people understand there's typically advantages to wire.
I wonder how
Other
many.
than-
I wonder how many of the youngsters. I say youngsters, probably in their 20s, right? Are actually using. Well, it could be teens, could be 12. Right?
Yeah, right.
I wonder how many they're actually using it to listen to music. I would assume they do. Would they do it both? I have no
Probably.
idea. Yeah.
Probably,
I don't know.
If it's
for
good
most
enough.
people, they
Yeah.
don't really have anything higher end than their whatever they use for gaming, their headset.
Yeah.
So for a lot of people, it's kind of a multi-purpose headset. It's their best headphones they own, in addition to what they use for talking to their friends while they're gaming.
Yeah. So
Probably.
vocals is probably the primary.
Well, you really need spatial awareness.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right? You need to be able to locate sounds readily. That's the most important thing. It's usually not that hard to hear what other people are saying.
I see.
Usually they're screaming.
Oh, I got
Well,
you.
So you could kind of figure out what's going on
Yeah.
pretty quickly there. But it tends to be more important to be able to locate where other players are in the game and things
Yeah.
like that. But that doesn't lend itself that well to high-end audio experience. Like,
Well,
there's
you're-
usually not a lot of overlap there.
You're using Jason. You're using Diana's, right? Diana
Yeah, so
5
is Eric.
for gaming.
Yeah.
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 And as we said before, the
With a
biggest thing
separate
is
mic.
hearing all the separate mic. Everybody else's mic
Oh.
sound different,
Yeah,
which
right.
is kind of annoying.
Yeah.
But Eric got a new mic, so he sounds better now.
Oh, yeah. I see a couple. I don't know if you want to call them Google ads or whatever. I saw some of the bigger boys starting to push some higher end microphones, just separate mics.
It's
You know,
important.
just
it's really
for-
important.
It is.
Yeah. So I guess, we're talking not cheap. I think it's over $100 for the microphone.
Oh,
This is a very different thing than I think you see in a lot of consumer industries, though, because for most people, whatever the thing comes with is good enough. Like your phone, you're not looking
Yeah.
typically for auxiliary headsets for your phone. You're just using the internal mic.
Yeah.
And if you're talking on speakerphone, you're not looking for better audio fidelity because it's not important in a lot of those cases. Most people just use the stock thing. But with gaming, it's very different. People see the advantage. People see, hey, I'm having a hard time discerning what this guy's saying. And if there's 3, 4, 5 other people in the game, they're all yelling, there's explosions, whatever game noise is going on, it can be really hard to discern voices between each other. So I think it is very clear for a lot of people that better performance is a big deal, that a better microphone, better headphones can make the difference in these situations. So I think that certainly is helping people to kind of get into audio in a sense. Not quite like in the high-end range, but they understand there's a difference that could be had.
I would imagine too, if the gaming headsets are getting better, then they're probably better for music too.
well, you
Which,
would hope.
which pushes people in that direction. Pushes them in a direction where the music sounds better too. And they go, hey, this improved on my beats too.
Well, yeah. Well, and
versus-
now Apple's not even including any headphones in the box with the new iPhone. So eventually you're going to have to, you can't just run whatever your phone comes with.
Yeah.
Because everybody's probably going to follow suit as usual.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you're really seeing more or less a natural evolution. Because in the early days, who do you know that bought headphones? It was pretty much everybody. They bought them out of necessity because they didn't have them, and they just bought cheap stuff.
Yeah. Right.
Whatever the phone came with, whatever their MP3 player came with, that's what they used a lot of times.
I think a lot of people don't understand the advantages of getting, even like I've seen people on planes like with IEMs and stuff, and they're running like,
Yeah.
$20, $30 pieces of beep, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it. I remember one gal was sitting next to me on a flight, and you guys were behind me or something like that. I don't know where the hell we were going, which show we were going to, and I seen what she was using, and it was obviously just generic. I'm like, you could do better than that. And she goes, yeah. And I said, yeah. It's just, you didn't really think it's going to matter type thing, And she's younger. She was probably in her mid-20s or something like that. I said, or maybe even 30. Old enough to afford something better than $20 buds, Yeah. And I explained it to her. I didn't want to bore her, but I explained to her briefly. So, we kind of do this for a living type thing. And trust me, you get into even a few $100 range, you'd be surprised at what a difference you can make with just a simple in-ear.
Well, yeah.
They just don't know. They don't think about it.
Well, that's true.
It's out of their, for whatever reason, it's out of their mind. Probably because it isn't in the Apple Store, or it's not Skull Candy. It doesn't have the word Skull Candy with that logo on it, or whatever the hell the kids are buying nowadays. It's not in every airport.
Right.
You got to look for it.
Yeah,
it can't hit you in the head. You physically got to say, "Hey, can I do better than this?"
Trying it is definitely the first step. Obviously, that's usually the thing where you're like, "Oh," usually it's instant.
Well, even before that, you got to know it exists.
Well, yeah,
and then find somewhere to try it.
On a plane is usually a good place because I was on a plane once, and my friend was sitting next to me, and I'm like, "Here, try this," and I had my my Sony wireless noise canceling headphones.
Yeah.
And he's apparently never used noise canceling headphones. And he put them on. He's like, "Oh man, this is way better."
Yeah, right. Rather than hearing listening to engine noise all the way.
Yeah,
through.
That's a big difference.
Yeah.
So you need someone to give you that push.
Yeah, and those are great for planes. Noise canceling or a good fitting IEM.
Yeah.
Is great for airplanes. You gotta wipe out that freaking engine noise.
Depends on what you're trying to get done. But it does seem to be there's some degree of inertia in the positive direction in the headphone industry, because people are starting to understand that these things make a difference. They're starting to want to get interested in it. And in some applications, it's almost a necessity because there's just so many problems dealing with people using their phones to talk to each other in gaming or something like that. You have the ambiance of the room, other people in the room, in the house, the computer and the keyboard noises and stuff like that. And you hear echoes and stuff from other audio things in their game or their audio coming out of their speakers.
This is all just some shit setup, right? It's just
but
it's
the
just
problem
using
is,
a phone.
It's
not paying attention to detail, basically.
Yeah, right. But usually how people do these things is, well, I'll just start a phone call, throw it on a desk, and we're out the door. It works. And it does work.
I'm surprised there's no peer pressure.
Great.
There's no peer pressure to
There is.
Right. That's the thing.
That's the thing.
It's like, you sound
man,
like
you
crap.
Need to step up your game over there.
That's a newer thing because people get annoyed when they hear your super loud keyboard and echoes and stuff.
I mean, I get it. If you can't afford it, you can't afford it. But you start with something.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff I would imagine you could do better just for
pretty inexpensive.
30, 40, 50 bucks probably.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not crazy relative to the cost of the computer.
Yeah, what is the mic you're running? $30, $40?
It's a $30 mic.
And it's it's a huge step up.
Yeah, right. So,
you need a pre, and it's a little bit more complicated than an integrated.
There's birthdays, there's Christmas, there's Easter, there's
Hanukkah,
there's all kinds of reasons to have mommy and daddy bust up and get you something.
But I would say overall, the entire industry is slowly moving in a favorable direction. The younger generation is intrinsically getting more involved in audio because they see a difference. A lot of people are starting to do more and more things where fidelity matters, and that's encouraging. But there's certainly a group of people that aren't gamers. They're not PC gamers where you have all these options, and so how do you get them involved?
You have to know what fidelity is too. Like that's a learning curve in itself. Most people think what they got is good. Good enough. They don't care.
A lot of
until you
do.
hear better.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's just like that with like monitors and everything. You get used to like whatever you use on a daily basis, then you see a better one. You're like, oh man.
It's probably easy enough to
upgrade.
At a younger age. It's probably easier enough to read reviews on this stuff. Like, I know it's hard to go out. You can't just listen to this shit. They're boxed headphones. You can't just pop them on your head and see. But there's probably enough people talking about stuff, and when you see you gotta look for it, a lot of reviews on certain things, you got to be looking. But I mean, you could get a pretty good idea of what people like for gaming, or whatever the hell you're going to use it for, gaming and music, by just doing a little bit of research. Mm-hmm. I mean, hell, we spend a couple hours looking for something stupidest thing, right?
All the time.
Yeah, right. So I mean, that's what it takes. You got to do some homework here. It's just homework, That goes for anything. You want the best stuff. You want good shit. You gotta study. You gotta look and see what is the good shit.
Yeah.
And then and then narrow it down to a couple items, and and pick one. And worst case scenario, you live for a year or so. Now you got an idea of where you want to go, a direction. You triangulate on the next piece, right?
You do learn quick.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, when you buy what you think was the thing perfect for your situation.
It's never going to be the perfect
Yeah,
choice.
usually not.
It takes time, but that's okay. That's
But
what
you
it's all
learn
about.
what you really want.
Exactly, or where you can go with it. So I think that's what the younger generation needs to look at is there's plenty of stuff out there in the upper end. Not even upper end, but just say beyond what comes in the box type thing.
But what if they're not interested? What if they don't pay attention to that? What if they think it doesn't matter?
Not everyone cares about that.
How do you spark that interest?
Yeah, well, you need a hammer or a chisel, hit them over the head with it.
No, well, you need a use case. That's the thing. As soon as you run into, like, planes are the perfect example.
Yeah, right.
Where it's like everybody knows they don't want to hear engine roar the whole time. So everybody looks for what's the best noise canceling headphone or whatever.
Right.
So that's pretty much probably where it usually starts.
And you're going to be $300, $400, $500 into that if you want something. But if you fly a lot,
oh yeah,
freaking no brainer.
Oh yeah, it's totally.
I mean, a ticket is $300 just to get on the plane. Come on, bust up, get something to make the flight. Well, not only that, you'll be probably less jittery when you get to the other side, and you won't be as deaf either.
Well, yeah. Well, it depends where you're sitting.
Yeah, well, that's true too. Yeah, the back of the plane's never good. Like the last seat that you guys used to like to go into is there's like bass build up in the back of the plane. Over the wings isn't exactly the greatest either,
There's challenges with everywhere on the plane.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's always a trade-off.
Aisle seats tend to be better. So anyway, I mean, maybe for people who don't know where to begin with this, maybe we should talk about what we thought sparked our interest in listening to music or audio or something like that. I mean, we're probably going to have to go back a few years. Me, a lot fewer than you guys, but
okay.
Yeah, let's go in clockwise fashion. So you're first there.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So I don't think there was like a singular moment or anything like that. It was more or less I saw that there was a difference. That's the easiest way to put it, because we both went to some trade shows early on, like 2-channel shows, and a lot of the rooms were just unimpressive. They didn't inspire any particular excitement because the prices were just stratospheric and the quality didn't seem justifiable for the price point. It just didn't seem like something that I wished to attain.
Yeah.
Right? Because spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on this big setup that seems really complicated.
Okay, that's a little overboard on a number there.
Well, you're at a show, right? So everybody's
sure.
doing the best of the best. A lot of times you do have the budget oriented stuff, but you see this stuff that's like $1 zillion and it's not that amazing.
Well, it doesn't make sense for a ton of people.
Right.
A majority. Like 99.9.
Mm-hmm. But there were the rare occasions where I saw something that was attainable, that actually was good, that seemed encouraging, that seemed like something that not only would I want, but was a feasible purchase. You could fit in a room, you could drive it easily. It wasn't super big.
So trade shows basically is what you're saying.
And I think experience was what really did it. Just seeing something that's exciting that you want to have. And the same applies for headphones, but that happened a little bit later on. In headphones especially, though, you could find products that, for whatever reason, resonate to you, that seem to do what you want, that give you great sonic fidelity at an affordable price point. And for me, that seemed to be the impact, actually seeing the product at an attainable level. That seemed to be compelling enough, because I just didn't really think it mattered enough.
Well, even like the Best Buy is probably the most universal place, especially if they have a Magnolia Theater, where you can just go in there and just hear some stuff, even if it is multi-channel or surround or movies. I think it gives you an idea of what a system can do. I don't know if they don't think they demo headphones at those places, like
they do.
The mass market. Yeah.
Even
that's a start, because
they
it's
only
hard,
got a couple, but
it's hard right now, especially
they might
this
be shut
year.
down right now.
Yeah, but bottom line is that would be somewhere where just about everyone has one of those. Where a lot of towns don't even have a high-end store,
shop,
but that's where you'd want to go.
Well, yeah.
What about you, man? What do you think? Like going back?
Well, kind of always been around it, And then I think the biggest thing is, since we've always had 2-channel audio and stuff, is when you don't have it anymore, like when like when you're in your own room and I don't have your speakers that you had in your listening room or whatever, you're like, so you just do with what you got, and it's like, well, this isn't very good.
Yeah, the old man set the example for the 2-channel. So now like, I'm trying to.
I want something.
I want to get there.
It doesn't need to be great, but you want something that's like
reasonable.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but. Yeah, I mean, essentially same thing with headphones, though. Like, I remember getting my first actual pair of headphones.
Yeah.
and it was like, and then you're always like looking. It's like, oh, what's a little better? What's a little better?
Right.
So you just need that initial spark, I think.
Yeah.
I think, but the thing is, I mean, I kind of do that for most things. You know, it doesn't not just audio. You know, you just want you always keep up
Well,
to date.
and for me, because I am a parent, and you guys are obviously my kids, I think we should throw this straight at the parents. I think they're responsible for adding a hobby like music to their children's lives.
Well,
You know, they can
I mean,
afford
everybody
these
likes
toys.
music. That's the thing.
Yeah, but I
Most-
mean, the parents can afford. Yeah, right. But the parents can afford to buy these toys for the kids, and all this shit that you buy for kids nowadays. I mean, strollers are $500, right?
Well, yeah.
I mean, your kid gets to a certain age where they're interested, and I mean, you got to watch it. You got to limit their volume. You don't want to give them something that's going to blow their head off, damage their hearing or anything. But just saying, there are choices out there that a parent could make where you introduce their kid, your kid to music at whatever, 4 or 5 years old or even younger, and you never know what that might grow into. Not only just understanding what music sounds like, but playing it, getting into it as a hobby, whatever. It's so I throw it at the parents. I think they can afford the toys for the kids, and it's something they should consider. You know what I mean? Always. Whenever they feel that their kid is ready. I mean, some kids at 2, I think, are ready.
Well,
It just depends on how they can handle playing the music or what they're plugging into. But
I think that's another thing is, if you play music, you're probably more interested in what you sound like and stuff, like if you can record anything or anything. So
yeah,
playing music is definitely a path to wanting to hear it back properly. So
I mean, most kids aspire to get a phone at about 4 or 5.
Well,
They're
now,
already, by
yeah.
maybe 7 or 8, their parents might get them a cell phone. But even that, all you need is a Bluetooth headset, your G2G, and just connect their phone. But I'm just saying, I really throw it at the parents. I think it's not just music, everything. With boys and stuff. Sets that help them to build things, Tinker Toys, whatever that I have out there nowadays, where you understand more of hands-on experience where you use your hands to build. These are things I think that aunts, uncles, people in the family should entice kids to try their skill sets, see where they excel at a young age. And I mean, when I started, I had we had a console TV in the living room. Right? When I was a little kid. I was sitting on the floor listening to 2 speakers with a TV in between. I'm sure that's where it started. And there was albums playing. What more can you ask for at the age of 2 or 3? So anyway, that's my gut feeling on that. But I think we should probably wrap this up as usual. I'm going on.
A little rambling.
Yeah, I had a late coffee today, so a little too much caffeine today. Thanks everyone for watching The Ramble, and take care of yourselves.